Ollie comes in and gets the last two.
Yeah, very well held really by Virtus.pro right there. What Cloud9 want to do, well, it's kind of a weird in a A split, right? And obviously having one of your guys picked off as go down towards secret is not going to help you. But Sean Gears did a fairly good job. Picked up Taz and actually created an opening for Cloud9 as they were going inside. But at that point, VP had already made the correct rotations and held off pretty easily.
Here we see a tactic that is employed so often. You lose the first round, you go with the Tech 9-4 spy. You've got a few armies in the mix as well. The Shroud has been picked off there from the FAMAS. Michu's being tagged up. Stamfist on top of Silo is getting some information, and fair enough, actually did quite a bit of damage to Michu as well. So Michu's going to have to be super careful and back on off.
Absolutely, and it's a shame for Cloud9 that he's not able to finish Michu off in that situation. But Sean Gear is going to do that job for him. And right now we're standing on equal ground. Stamfist is down to 5 HP, which obviously is not beneficial for Cloud9, but the more economical damage that Cloud9 are able to do, really, the better it is, because they're not going into this round with a realistic hope of actually winning it. It's more about doing economical damage to the team.
That's exactly what it is. Bjarly does get a nice trade off there, but then it gets taken out from nothing. Shazam as well rhymes in with that Deagle. Very low HP on the side of Virtus.pro. Actually bugged at the top, I believe. It says Virtus.pro on the right hand side. That is Cloud9. As Neo is going to be trying to do some work with that Nova. Gets tagged. It's all on Stamfist. The man with 5 HP does get some tanks across of his own onto Neo. And surely Pasha will seal a deal here. 15 seconds on the timer. Not much hope for Stamfist to get this bomb and get anything done. And there we go. Pasha takes him down with ease. But they did get 3 kills in the process there. Not too bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And that turned out probably better than Cloud9 could have hoped for. I mean, going on the inner bomb side is a pretty tough job, especially when you've only got pistols and VP should be set up in a more favourable position. So picking off 3 frags, absolutely brilliant. I actually think they would have had a chance at actually getting the bomb down, but obviously hard to know. We've got full overview and all that good stuff. So still very good eco from Cloud9, and they're going to go with the safe right, and instead of forcing up right now with Galils and AKs, they're going to do a fairly clean eco with only PT50s.
Yeah, they got the one flash on nothing. Has just been thrown there. Michu, who performed pretty well actually in the earlier stages of the tournament. He's not been the reason why VP are in this position right now, as far as I'm concerned. It is pretty much an eco bash, so no point to get too crazy about what's happening. Bjarly has been taken out though, and that's a pretty clean eco bash, I'd say, there from VP. They'll be quite happy with that result.
Yeah, and that's a very good round to have after just losing 3 people in the first anti-eco they had. And talking about Michu, I was actually talking to Taz, and he was raving about how good Michu was of a player, and that's pretty high praise coming from a guy like Taz who's been around since the dawn of time, really, in CS. So that's I mean, yeah, Michu's probably one of the biggest talents that Polish CS has.
The man he's replacing as well, Snacks. I mean, that's a bit of a heavy body blow for Virtus.pro to lose him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's probably the biggest shoes that that you could possibly try to fill, really, in the case of VP. And that's not any sort of slight towards any of the other VP members. It's just that Snacks has progressed so massively in CS:GO. And right now we're seeing Cloud9 doing something we've seen them do all tournament long. It's the wall of smoke sat in yard, but Pasha is already in position.
Yeah, smoke screen has connected. You see a lot of gunfire, but not really registering. Still Neo with that shotgun, with the Nova. That could prove to be a bit precarious for him, considering there are full AKs up on the American side of Cloud9.
Yeah, and last time Cloud9 did this smoke screen and actually didn't go, commit to go down to secret. They actually did it in inner push, and I think that's what we're going to see basically a split on the upper bomb site.
Looks to be what's just about to start off now. Here we go. Shazam goes in first. He gets knocked down by Tez. Got 39 HP left, but not for too much longer. Look at this. It's all Cloud9 right now. A 3 versus 1. And Neo, with the shotgun, doesn't have much chance. He gets dropped.
Yeah, and again, yeah, Cloud9 doing what kind of we expected and just very well executed. I think Shazam should have been able to pick up that first frag in hut, but it doesn't really matter when you have nothing holding you back and actually getting that trade right away. And with Cloud9 actually being so efficient with their execution, they catch VP off guard. They don't really have enough people to cover each other at that point, so just a really solid round from the Americans.
They'd be hoping to do just that, considering this is their map choice as well, but every T round is so important for the side of Cloud9. Here we go. They're actually kind of playing a game of cat and mouse. They're looking as though they're going to, once again, potentially push outside and change their minds, come back to the lobby. And do you expect to see a lot more of these A splits? I mean, they have seemed to get pretty far, got a lot of real estate both times they've utilized this tactic.
Yeah, I hope to see it, and it's actually something that I want to see pretty much every team where Shazam just removes Neo from the map. It's something that I really hope that we can see more of from pretty much every team in CS.
That's a beautiful one-click there, right to the forehead of Neo. That's going to open up things nicely for Cloud9, and they have very quickly, very briskly moved their way down onto B site. The bomb will be planted. Shroud with a nice headshot onto Bialy. They do manage to get Shroud back in return. But again, this is definitely in favor of Cloud9. They've got that bomb down. Taz does get himself a frag before getting dropped from Sean Gez from Vent. Michu's all that remains. 1 versus 3 on control room. And they have him pretty much surrounded. And there you go. Sean Gez, as expected, will put him out of his misery. So Cloud9 already with 2 rounds on T. This is not too shabby at all. No,
and the really good part for Cloud9 at this point is the fact that, well, they just forced Virtus.pro to go on an eco, really. So this should be, you know, by most likely accounts, a pretty easy round win for Cloud9. You can even see that VP are not even considering, you know, actually buying up armor and anything at all. It's just a couple of pistols and that's it. So this should be an extremely good start for Cloud9.
But can they run with it is the question. We've already seen in this tournament they start to get the momentum on the tracks and then it kind of slips away from them. And we know that Virtus.pro are more than capable of making crazy things happen, even with pistols. So Cloud9, they can't get too carried away just yet. Got to play it round at a time. Sean Gez taking point here onto ramp. Does spot out a player, but there is Pasha from the side. Sean Gez did not see it coming. And that's also a weapon to Pasha. And Cloud9, this is what I'm talking about. They have to be really careful. You've got to respect the balls. They can sneak up on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that C9 are spreading themselves so thin that they don't actually have kind of that buddy system going on where you have basically a security as to where if one of you gets picked off, you have the other guy who could potentially trade for them. That's a bit weird to see in an anti-eco round, but still, nothing brings it back for Cloud9 as right now with 2 frags.
They have traded once more there with Shazam headshotting down Michu. He previously did get himself a frag. 28 seconds left on the timer. Cloud9. They do have the bomb, that's a saving grace for them, but they are running out of time ever so quickly. 20 seconds, they're now starting to move towards ramp. Going to be jumping down onto B site. Both Virtus.pro players still on A. Going to be rotating themselves through vent, and beautiful headshot from Shroud. As Pasha drops down, Neo returns fire, but there is nothing. And it brings it back to a 3-on-3. This is a great start from Cloud9.
It's a brilliant start, you know, like you pointed out, what a headshot from Shroud. The second Pasha drops down into that vent, you know, hopefully, you know, in hopes of actually denying the bomb plant from Cloud9, just instantly gets removed, and that pretty much sealed the deal for Cloud9 right there. And it's good to see because Cloud9 right now are playing like a completely different team from what we saw the first time these 2 teams met on Nuke. So that's a very encouraging thing to see.
Yeah, we did wonder how this 3rd, 4th place matchup psychologically would kind of fare. And as we're talking, Virtus.pro lining up Cloud9 and knocking them down. The 1 frag does come in return, form of Sean Gez, but he gets taken out as well from Bialy. So back to business once again for Virtus.pro. As long as Cloud9 can keep this kind of pace going, though, if they can keep going round for round, they'll be really happy going into that second half of CT.
Oh yeah, just trading rounds back and forth as a T on Nuke would be the absolute dream. And I actually like the fact that Cloud9 just went for a straight inner rush. Even though it didn't work successfully, you could see there Shroud went out of Blue Hut. It was just a matter of half a second before he gets that kill on the guy in Blue Hut. And if he does that, then all of a sudden, you know, things start to open up for Cloud9. They might get, you know, that half a second more of time for the other players to get into proper positions and actually completely take over the site. So small margins not going in the favor of Cloud9 that round, but it's a really good sign to see that they're willing to actually do proper executes right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have the pause coming in, unfortunately. Hopefully find out what that is fairly quickly and let you guys know.
Yeah, it seems like, you know, as we talk about it, Nia's ready to unpause. So we will be resuming the game rather quickly. It's pretty nice, both for the players, obviously, and the people watching, you know, that the pauses don't get too lengthy or anything like that, because it is easy to lose your focus if you basically don't, you know, stay in shape, and by that, you know, basically continue to play for a long period of time.
And it's interesting you mentioned that as well, because of course it was Virtus.pro that had the massive delays on the first day of gameplay over on Friday. There were networking issues, I believe, so they did end up winning that game against Infused 2-0, both maps 16-10. And as you say, it's going to be a very fast unpause coming in. Virtus.pro need to start getting themselves some rounds on the board. Shroud with a beautiful headshot on Silo. And I like how much Cloud9's mixing this up on attack. They're not being stale, they're not being predictable.
Yeah, exactly. And I've criticised several teams of this, over the course of the last few months, that, a lot of teams just pretty much fall back to one and the same thing, and that's the smoke screens outside. Cloud9, as of right now, they've pretty much been doing a different thing every single round.
That's exactly it. Or just throwing in little spanners into the works each time, maybe pushing outside, but having somebody trying to flank round from blue. Nice shot there from Shazam, a guy who was a bit hit or miss in the previous best of 3 that I was watching there against Envious.
Yeah, the good thing for Cloud9 is in that last nuke game that Cloud9 actually played, Shazam was really feeling it outside in yard versus the Swedish team. I think it was Orbit, actually, yeah. So he was really showing, good form on nuke. So maybe nuke is the map for Shazam.
Definitely could be. Bjarly is the last man remaining for the Polish side of Virtus.pro. This would be absolutely huge once again for Cloud9. Again, it's just blow for blow. It would be 4-4, and Bjarly has given up this round. He is going to be saving the AK and the Molotov plus the Kevlar. It's the correct decision, especially on nuke. 1v3. It's not a good position to be in.
No, it's not a great position to be in. And obviously, the Cloud9 members are fairly low on HP, but that's really hard to know. And because you don't have that added benefit which you have in matchmaking, where you can actually see how much damage you've done. That feature is gone in tournaments. So trying to guess how much HP people have is not really the safest way to go about it. And we talked about it. Trading rounds as a T side is the dream, really. And Virtus.pro don't want to give Cloud9 any more easy rounds that they've already gotten.
Which is reflected in their buy-up. But the problem is this is high risk, high reward. If they're to lose this round, again, they are backs against the wall. Their economy is in tatters. And they've got such a mixed match of weapons. They've got 5 different weapons as primaries here. P90, M4, FAMAS, 5.7, and an AK that was saved, of course, from Bjarly last round. They do have armor, and they do have a few grenades to play with. But Cloud9, once again, if they keep playing this very difficult to read attack, you'd fancy them to potentially pick up this round, and maybe even the next one as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a force-up from Virtus.pro, so they're putting a lot of eggs in one basket at this point. Because, well, already Cloud9 are doing a great job with picking up early T rounds, and if they're able to get 2 for free pretty much, then they're going to be in an excellent spot going into the second half, even if they lose out the remaining rounds.
You see this time Cloud9 playing a much more disciplined, slow, steady approach to the T side, throwing out the smokes, trying to keep the CTs guessing. And now Sean Gares just pretty much getting so much real estate. He's walked his way through into ramp, and now down towards the B side, and the rest of his team are following in hot pursuit. It's going to be a lot of spray coming out here though. Bjarly does trade. Shroud puts him down. And again, Cloud9 are actually ahead on manpower. They're going to get this bomb planted. This is a very difficult site to retake from the perspective of Virtus.pro, considering their weaponry. Shazam with the AWP. Make short work with Pasha. As the second one as well from Shazam. We called him out as maybe not being the most consistent of players throughout this tournament, but he is stepping up big here.
Yeah, that's pretty much been Shazam's tag ever since he joined Cloud9. Like, he's the guy who can hit the most amazing shots you'll ever see in your life, but he could also miss the straightforward, easy ones that everyone should be able to pick up. But right now, it really feels like Shazam is feeling it. He's already up to 9 frags, and that's a great sign for Cloud9.
I'll be desperately hoping that he continues this going forward to Inferno and potentially Cash. It was Cash that he struggled the most in the previous best of 3 that I was watching there in the semi-finals. He was missing quite a few shots, whiffing quite a few, but if he continues on this kind of form, this kind of confidence, they're definitely going to give Virtus.pro a whole lot of trouble. And they're actually ahead on the T side. They're 5-4 push in here from the side of Cloud9, second guessing themselves. So much Molotovs being thrown down from the Americans. And now it looks like Virtus.pro are going to try pushing with these P250s. Neo's taking point. He's probably going to get himself taken down. No, shush me. He does get the kill. And Pasha follows up and gets the second one.
Yeah,
so just when you think that Cloud9 can start getting some momentum, Virtus.pro strike.
Yeah, and they actually dropped the bomb as well, which is a huge issue for Cloud9, because as you said, in these anti-ecos, they've been taking it fairly slowly. So the fact that they dropped the bomb in a place where Virtus.pro can converge and actually just make a bit of a wall around it, that's absolutely massive for them.
Brings it back to a 3-on-3 courtesy of Shroud. Player in heaven there from Virtus.pro probably felt like he should have connected the dots there and got the frag, but there's Bjarly with 2. The bomb is still dropped down there. Shazam with the 5-7. And the AWP does have full hit points. He doesn't have much time though, only 13 seconds. He's going to get a move on towards A, but there is Michu laid in wait, and he does get the frag to bring it back to 5-on-5.
A really solid eco from Virtus.pro. I'm actually kind of surprised that Sean Gears in ramp room there didn't expect more. But once again, we saw the issue of not having, you know, that buddy system going for Cloud9, because it happened in the previous anti-eco as well. Sean Gears gets picked off, and they have no one to actually trade for that kill. So, essentially, Virtus.pro picked up 2 fairly easy kills, because as soon as the backup comes in for Sean Gears, it, you know, being too far away, it ends up with 2 fairly easy solo kills for Virtus.pro and the bomb, which is just, you know, icing on the cake at that point.
It's been quite a strange game this as well, because we've had obviously 10 rounds of play. This is going to be the 11th. With the exception of maybe one round, these have been fairly clear-cut rounds from one team to another. You know, it hasn't gone down to the 1v1 huge clutches or the 2v2 tag teams. It's pretty much been one team just batters the other one. Is that Nuke in a nutshell, do you think? Or is it just a case these teams are just playing so clinical right now?
I think it's more to the second point, really, because normally you'd see a lot of weird situations on Nuke, you know, people getting picked off randomly, you know, all over the map, really, and all of a sudden you end up with 2 or 1 players left, you know, on each team, and they kind of duke it out separately. It's not an uncommon sight to see actually quite a few clutch situations happening on a map like Nuke. Right now, I mean, as you said, they're executing properly when Cloud9 actually gets into it. When VP allow Cloud9 to set up what they want to do, they do it very well, and, you know, they pretty much catch off any Virtus.pro member off guard at any given point. So that's why we're seeing such a big, really, discrepancy in between, like, how many kills both teams are actually getting when they're winning.
It makes for a very interesting tactical affair between these two teams, because they're really giving nothing away. You know, it has been so even, but on a map like Nuke, that in itself is uneven, if that makes sense, because you'd expect to see Cloud9 kind of maybe 6-3, 7-3 behind at this stage, not 5-5.
No, not 5-5 at all, and if anything, like 7-3 would actually still be a pretty good start for Cloud9 at this point. So, yeah, even though it's even, it's definitely in favour of Cloud9.
We can see again, they are looking to just sneak their way through outside smoke screen, and they've done this so many times when they've thrown the smokes. It's like the boy who cried wolf. They've thrown smokes and not pushed, that Virtus.pro don't respect this tactic anymore, and now that Virtus.pro basically back on off, yes, Michu just got a frag there, interesting enough, with the AWP. Now that they don't respect it, they just push straight down secret, and that's the problem in a nutshell that VP are dealing with right now. They are so difficult to predict.
Yeah, and, you know, that's obviously the goal of Cloud9 as well. Basically, if you have a default that looks similar every single time but has small changes to it, it could really throw off an opponent, and that's what Cloud9 have been able to do. And that's why they've picked up so many rounds at this point. But they might be going into a bit of a trap right here, because VP seem to have fairly good positions here on the low bomb site.
It definitely seems that way. Sean Gears, though, does somehow salvage that frag on Bjarly, who I really felt had a good case to take that one down. Pasha is still laid in wait. A Coil Viper ready to strike on B, but it's actually a rotate through main towards A itself. Semphis and nothing are going to be going for this one. Semphis getting the bomb down. Here comes the Cavalry in the form of Neo. Tries his best. He's going to get shut down from Shazam, who then feels the force from Pasha. And this is the 2v2 that I was talking about before. Up and down the stairs he goes, but Pasha will get punished there. And now Michu with the AWP. This is a real sticky situation for him. If he can get this first pick onto Semphis, this is very doable. But there you go, the crossfire in effect. And Shazam picks up Cloud9's 6th round on T side.
And again, Shazam coming up big in around that Cloud9 wins. He's already on 13. I mean, he's playing absolutely fantastic now, and that's very good to see for Cloud9, considering how much of a lackluster performance he had in the previous semi-finals versus Envy.
That's definitely correct, and maybe that inspiration is going to rally the rest of the troops there over on Cloud9. They're going to start to play as a cohesive unit and try and push forward, because it's the reason they're in this position isn't through a lack of potential. These guys are individually incredibly talented players. And if they can all start firing at once, they are a team to really be reckoned with, and VP could be in all sorts of bother. It's important to mention again, this is their map, so Cloud9 clearly feeling fairly comfortable. But as you said before, they played this previously in the tournament, right?
Yeah, and then they lost fairly convincingly
Yeah.
to Virtus.pro on this map. So, you know, it's very clear to see that Cloud9 had a very good idea of how they wanted to play Nuke initially, but they weren't able to do it the first time around. And right now, they're doing a great job.
There's Sean Gares and Shazam again seem to be the entry fraggers time and time again for Cloud9, but the Poles refusing to lose, get themselves back a couple frags in the form of Michu. I've been really impressed with Michu, I've got to say, Vendetta, and going back to what Taz said before, definitely shining through here. Again, it's a 2v2, so after saying that we weren't seeing that many of these situations, the teams want to prove me wrong.
And this is a bit of a tricky situation if you're Cloud9, because basically you don't. The only information you've gotten in the last 30 seconds is that, well, there was a guy with an AWP under ladder. Besides that, you have no idea where people are, and they could see Michu picking up one guy from window halls. And right now, this should be a fairly
Style points.
Exactly, yeah. It should be an unwinnable for Sean, unwinnable round for Sean Gares, and Michu proves why.
Yeah, the time was also super low, and a 1v2. That's one hell of a way to finish off the round with a no scope to the forehead.
Absolutely, and it's quite fitting, you know, as we brought up Michu, you know, for playing so well. But yeah, that's a bit of a weird round for Cloud9 to lose, because it was a force bite coming out from VP, and they were finding themselves in the same situations when they last lost a round. So Cloud9 could have potentially gotten 2 free rounds, instead they end up losing one.
Michu, again with that AWP, doing work. Seems like he's a jack of all trades, but there's Shroud with the 1 dig. Very nice reply. And that'll do ever so nicely for Cloud9. They'll be happy to get a few more frags here, considering this is an eco round for them. Taz from Heaven. Pasha's also going to get himself a frag. There's Shazam once again. He's been performing pretty well, I think it's safe to say here. Definitely proving some of those critics wrong, but he's got to keep that performance going forward. Sean Gares in a 1v3 gets the bomb down, and that's actually a really good round, I've got to say, from Cloud9. Regardless of what happens from here, if Sean, okay, can't get another frag, but still, 2 kills and a bomb plant, they would have taken that at the beginning of the round for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, getting the bomb down in any round really on Nuke is just a good round in a sense, and the fact that you managed to get 2 frags in addition to that with minimal investment, that's absolutely huge for them. And I mean, if you're following the trend of the game so far, this means that Cloud9 are going to pick up a round. Well,
that's if we go by the stats, that definitely would be the case, but you never quite know in Counter-Strike. I wouldn't put it past them though, definitely wouldn't. I half expect to see them go 7-7 here, but we just have to see how their tactics come to fruition. I keep getting really puzzled by the Virtus.pro and Cloud9 wrong at the top. It keeps catching me out. Either way, Michu. Well, he missed the shot. I guess he is human after all, and that could prove to be pretty fatal for Virtus.pro. No, Pasha and Bjarly make an absolute meat grinder happen in Vents as they take down 2 players. 3 on 3. Shazam is tagged pretty heavily. But again, look at how easy this is for Cloud9 to just waltz onto B, pretty much undeterred. And Pasha's in such a sticky place right now.
Exactly that. At any given time, he could get sandwiched by several Cloud9 members, and that's a great shot from Semphis.
Semphis on 1 HP, that's going to be so frustrating to Pasha. Thinking I should have had that frag. Semphis does get finished off from Neo. Here comes Shazam, and he gets sandwiched by 2 players, down to a 1-on-1. Both players pretty high on hit points, 44 seconds to play with. And the bomb is down in Vents. Does Taz know that? It appears he does from his position.
Yeah, he knows that. The only way Sean Gares can actually get to that bomb is by coming through that passage, and this should be an easy kill for Taz.
Oh, it's not! He just didn't react.
I mean,
at all.
There you go, you know, a bit of a jinx, really. Really wanted to see, you know, them go round for round the entire half.
Good guy, Vendetta. Casting, curse.
Oh yeah, just wildly just cursing, you know, people left and right. But yeah, 7 rounds of Cloud9 so far in the CTE half. That's absolutely brilliant on the T side. So, and especially if you look at the buy that's coming out from VP at this point, it's not really that impressive. You've got a Deagle, a 5-7, a FAMAS, and 2 Colts, and not really that many nades. So again, favour goes into Cloud9's hands. And
that was a huge round as well. I mean, if Virtus.pro win that, they're 8-6 up, which still isn't fantastic, but 7-7 is brutal. And that's not going to do their confidence too much good. As I'm speaking, plenty of frags have gone down. And Cloud9 find themselves a player to the good once again. Shroud on 13 with the Zeus. Going for the style. Here's the last round, of course.
I like what Cloud9 are doing right now. Boosting up, basically getting a good idea of what's going on in heaven right now. And ooh, that's actually pretty sick. That's such a hard jump that Shroud just made here. And this is going to give Cloud9 all kinds of information.
It really is. You can see, oh, Shazam, so unfortunate, just threw a smoke into main. Here comes Bjarly spraying down nothing. The bomb also drops. That was kind of unfortunate. The bomb drops onto site. And it will be 8-7 to Virtus.pro at half-time. But, you know, we've said this a couple of times. That is a huge half for Cloud9. Their confidence is going to be rising and rising here.
Oh, it's absolutely massive. And, you know, if they can bring this momentum that they actually have from the first half into the second one, pick up the pistol, then this could actually be a pretty easy closeout for Cloud9, which is kind of surprising to say, given how the first time they played on Nuke in this tournament actually went about.
Yeah, it would be deja vu as well from the previous best of 3, because Cloud9 were 1-up after playing Cobblestone. So VP would have to bounce back again as we are into the second half. Second pistol round. Oh, apparently not. Players are asking to stop play, I believe. Neo lagged, apparently.
And I'm assuming that's why we've had the few pauses earlier on as well. And by the looks of it, it's not a huge issue as of right now. So we should be getting the game underway in not too long. And there you go. Yeah, Neo already good to go.
And I was about to say the score's reset, but of course you have to wait for the restart to go in. I was getting a bit nervous there. The match is paused again. I think it's about to go live. So if you have just joined us, ladies and gents, this is the third or fourth matchup, or placement matchup I should say. There is $4,000 difference in prize pool as well, so there is a lot to play for here. It's not just a fun matchup, and of course as well, it's pride on the line. You want to finish third over fourth. Everyone remembers, typically in these tournaments, you know, the top 3, not necessarily the top 4. Yeah, it's the podium kind of mentality coming in. Obviously, you don't want to get a bronze medal, you want to get the gold, but make the best out of the situation at hand.
Yeah, I mean, a medal is better than no medal. So,
exactly.
And that's kind of the mindset these players have as well. You know, all of them are fiercely competitive, so you'll never see them, you know, go into a match and not really want to win. So right now, Cloud9 has just really surprised me, and you know, he's still hoping that it's not going to be the same thing as we saw in the first first best of 3 they played, which is really Cloud9 getting off to a really good start and then just pretty much crumbling really as the game goes along. But this is definitely going to be a motivational booster if they can pull this off. You know, winning their map pick and probably feeling pretty good going into Inferno, even though that is a really strong map for Virtus.pro.
The other thing as well, I feel like whatever happens here in this matchup, Cloud9 can kind of hold their heads high in some respects, because historically they haven't done too well at international lands, right? They've been knocked out in groups twice. They got through the groups here, so whatever happens, they have managed to, you know, one-up themselves in that way. Obviously, third would be a lot better, but I think they can definitely hold their heads high in some respects here. However, let's jump live into the second half. They definitely have a great foundation to build upon here, Cloud9. You definitely fancy them to take this one home, but Virtus.pro, they are going to go down swinging. This is the first out of a potential 3 maps, as Taz has got a frag back there for his team. Here comes Shroud with a 5-7, runs out of bullets, has to jump on top of the silo, and good guy Nothing is there to pick up the pieces, so and it's going to be 8-8.
Yeah, and again, Shazam opening up everything for the Cloud9 team with 2 frags. And you can see he's got 18 frags at this point. This is a completely different Shazam than what we saw versus Envy, and this is more reminiscent of what we saw him doing versus Orbit, where he was really commanding what was going on outside in yard, and especially when he got his hands on that AWP, he was really putting a lot of harm onto the Swedish team. So if he could do this again versus VP are in trouble.
Yeah, Shazam does get a nice spray down there onto Bjarly. I think his spidey senses were tingling a tiny bit there, because there are a few more players outside. I'm very interested to see how Virtus.pro approach the attack. If they are going to go for that kind of headless chicken approach, try and rush in, especially in these eco rounds. It doesn't seem to be the case thus far. They are playing slowly and trying to get as much info as possible. Pasha is heavy tagged, but he's trying to make some moves right now, getting some real estate of his own. Michu is outside, and Semphis gets tagged up pretty heavily on 6 HP, has to run away with his tail between his legs. But Pash is on 1, Neo's on 23. I'll be very surprised if he can pull this one off, but there we go, nothing. A guy who I should mention, the last time I casted Cloud9, which was yesterday, against Team Property, I believe, he nearly collectively dropped 100 frags in that best of 3. He was unbelievable. He's one of the determining factors why they actually won that BO3, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, and the crazy thing is, in his probably best map, which was the first map on Cash, they actually lost, and I think he actually had something around 40 frags, which is absolutely insane. And that was in normal time. You know, even before the overtime, he'd basically collected more frags than most people do on, over 2 maps. So yeah, he's been playing like an absolute beast, and that first day, the problem for Cloud9 was if nothing didn't play well, Cloud9 didn't play well. But day 2 went a lot better for them, or the rest of the games, and right now it's just that everybody's pitching in.
And this is the mad rush that I was talking about from Virtus.pro. They're done with playing slow and steady. They're going to rush right into ramp. There is a smoke down on ramp that Sean Gares is standing on the opposite side of, but there it is again, the pistol rush. They've managed to get themselves a weapon as well. Taz picks up the FAMAS, but he gets knocked down from a grenade courtesy of Nothing, who adds to the tally. They very nearly lined up for him there. He does still manage to do some damage, does dent the aggression from the Poles. But, all things considered, Cloud9 are still a man down, not for too much longer. Shroud gets one, has heavily tagged up. Neo in main. And 35 seconds to go with the bomb down. And the eyes on top of it as well. Sean Gares is going to get one. And Shroud finishes things off. That looked like Cloud9 could falter in that anti-eco. But they managed to claw it back at the end. Yeah,
they gave up a lot of control. Obviously getting picked up at ramp with 2 people. Not the greatest start to the round. Luckily for them, I think, first off the nade that Nothing actually lands onto one of the VP members is massive for them. And he also slows them down quite a bit. It seemed like VP kind of were thinking about actually doing the boost on top of Heaven and basically clearing it out that way. But, the same time they get that ID, Nothing has the ID to actually peek out from main and gets 2 frags, and that pretty much made it for them.
That one play tips everything in their balance, and you can see Molotov outside just kind of stalling off here. I thought for a second that we lagged out. I had this really horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. They're just playing slow.
It's just taking their time. And for Virtus.pro, this is a big round. I mean, obviously at the top of the scoreboard it is currently wrong. It is Cloud9 in the lead. So VP need to get their T-side going if they want to have a shot at coming back into this.
Oh, Bjarly did get a nice entry frag there, but he gets shut down from Nothing. The information has been called. There's the flashbang. Oh, somehow Nothing doesn't get dropped. Another one of those moments, perhaps, that is a round changer. I feel Nothing should have died. There's no 2 ways about it. But he comes out swinging, 2 frags to him. And now the emphasis, the onus is on the Poles to try and attack. Sean Gares from the corner gets 1. He gets swarmed, though, from Michu. Back onto a 3-on-2 situation. And somehow Nothing's still standing.
And right now, they have Virtus.pro have no idea that Semphis is there. And as soon as he pops out, gets an easy kill onto Taz. And Michu is in all kinds of trouble. Shroud takes him out. And, this sends, again, Virtus.pro back on an eco because they didn't get the bomb plant. So they're not really having anything working quite their way, whereas Cloud9, they just got right to it on their T side. This is a really good sign for the North Americans here.
Just going back to a point that we made before, this is an eco round from VP, so I would assume this is likely going to be easy one for Cloud9. They do have some grenades though.
Yeah, and that's actually quite curious to see that they've picked up 5 smokes on their team. So, initial thoughts as well, they're going to do the same wall of smoke really and try to push down secret. But they do have a strategy where they have a pop flash, because Taz has picked up a flash as well, where they basically smoke off yard and pop through main, and hopefully they'll be able to pick up whoever's rotating off from the inner bomb site and actually get an easy bomb plant.
Very curious round, and so far hasn't paid out for them. They've lost 1 player, make that 2, make that 3, as Sean Gares and Semphis both chime together, and that is a very comfortable round in the end for Cloud9. And as I was going to say before, I think a lot of people would have been writing off Cloud9 going into this best of 3, assuming that VP would have fairly comfortably walked into the the 3rd spot, but Cloud9 just saying, nope, we're going to be here till the very end.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different version of Cloud9 we're seeing right now than what we saw in the first best of 3, and it's, understandably so. A lot of people are going to look at the result from the first game, and for anyone who watched it, it really felt like VP just became a dominant force in that game, as the longer we went into it. But right now it's looking extremely good for Cloud9, and hopefully for them it's not, you know, a deja vu.
That's definitely the thing. I wouldn't necessarily say that they kind of fall out of concentration, but sometimes I feel like Cloud9 lack that killer instinct to finish off opponents. And VP are the kind of team that if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. So far, though, Cloud9, they have been clinical in their destruction of Virtus.pro, and that is going to be the first frag, however, from Neo. That's a nice shot from Shazam. Moves himself into outside again, though. Ramp has been left exposed, and Virtus.pro are going to try and make the most of this one. Seems that Cloud9 are happy to play deep. Nothing in control room is going to flash out and now look to try and get some frags. Unfortunately, from his perspective, though, smoke lands right outside the window, and he's not able to do a great deal from this one. He has called to the rest of his team that the B plan is just about to be put down. Indeed it has. Shroud in vents, trying his best to get some kind of a frag some way, but Michu's there to answer the call. He gets dropped. There's Shazam with the AWP as well. And now they're looking to push in. Player in Toxic. Bialy moving round to help his teammate out. Taz gets dropped, and now it's down to a one-on-one. Nothing has the AWP. Bialy with the AK-47 will be favourites to take this round home. And he is going to start to spray across. He hasn't managed to connect the dots enough to drop the player, but the bomb is so close to exploding. Again, it's going to be nothing going back to that bomb, and he's decided enough is enough. He wants to save the AWP, and he actually dies in the process. Very unfortunate. Nicely done by Bialy, although he probably could have got the kill a lot sooner than that, I have to feel.
Yeah, and but it actually seemed like he was aware of the fact that nothing had an AWP on him. So he was like very carefully peeking back and forth, and wasn't really to commit too heavily to it. And it ended up being a really smart decision, because obviously if nothing lands that AWP shot, then it's all over for Virtus.pro. But great play from Bialy, and finally Virtus.pro get around to their name on the T side.
It's going to be tough, though. They've been trying their best to get something.
Yeah, that right there is something completely, you know, unexpected from VP's side, and that's something we haven't seen even, you know, in the previous games that Cloud9 have had. Shazam going on the aggressive and getting that first entry frag, that's a massive opening for them. Yeah,
Shazam's pretty much only been outside, so for him to just pop up and ramp is definitely not what Virtus.pro are expecting. You can see the rest of the team is pretty much crumbling by the wayside, and Pasha, the last remaining player, doesn't last too much longer. So just when you think, you know, maybe Virtus.pro can start to dig their way back up, Cloud9 shut them out completely and only lose one play in the process of taking that round, which was the 22nd. 13 to 9 now.
I mean, already big lead for Cloud9, and they are on the easy side, and the fact that they just, you know, brought it back right after VP picked up their first round means the economy is just completely reset for VP. So they obviously they don't have the luxury of actually doing a double eco, but like they're gonna have to force up in the upcoming round, and it's not gonna be a great buy. You can see that they haven't actually invested anything except, you know, 2 smokes and a P250.
Bare bones Counter-Strike right now from Virtus.pro. Now going to be looking to rush outside through Secret. We have seen this tactic before. Didn't pay off too well for them last time around. Nothing in prime position to get a hatful of frags. Throws the molly and the grenade afterwards. That is pretty much going to halt this push. And now he's going to start chiming in with the M4. However, that is going to be Michu getting the headshot through the wall. It's just surrounded, outgunned there from nothing. Now the rest of Virtus.pro with that weapon are going to try and somehow bounce back here and potentially pick themselves up around they really shouldn't be getting.
Oh, this is definitely should be an unwinnable round for VP, but they've got 2 weapons in their hands right now.
Shazam eviscerating Bialy close range, and suddenly the scoreboard fills up with Virtus.pro frags, and they do get an eco round victory, and that's not fantastic for Cloud9, but let's kind of put things into perspective here. They're 13-10 up on the easier side. You'd still fancy Cloud9 to pretty briskly walk away with this map.
Oh, absolutely, and see how they won so many consecutive rounds. You know, at the beginning of the round, they still have, at the beginning of the half, they still have enough money to actually buy up with a pretty decent buy, except for Nothing, who's going to go with the Mag 7.
Rushing outside with it. Not going to pay out for him. He gets taken out courtesy of Pasha. There are a few tagged up players there. Neo on 4 HP on top of Silent needs to be careful he doesn't drop down and end up ending his own life. And Pasha is going to get that frag. Here comes the grenade. Does pick up the frag onto Semphis. That's going to leave quite the mark. 4v2. And Virtus.pro, yeah, trying ever so hard get this back on even playing field, but Shroud again steps up big, gets himself a double. Back to a 2-on-2, and remember, Neo still on only 4 HP. A gust of wind would take him down at this point. He has got the frag, though, with all 4 of those hit points. Now 50 seconds, a lot of time to play with for Virtus.pro. A lot of time for Sean Guest to get into position as well, but the bomb is being planted on A. Has just been confirmed to Sean, who's still in main. He's going to be flashing out here. And he does get shot in the back from Neo. Another huge round from Virtus.pro. And Cloud9, is this where they begin to start worrying?
I mean, you don't have to worry quite yet. You still have enough room to potentially do double eco and still just be even. Because you're always going to be on the favourable side of Nuke, which is in itself a massive advantage. So I wouldn't start panicking if you're Cloud9, but, you know, historically speaking, this is when Cloud9 starts to panic. So for them, if they are able to keep the composure, that would be absolutely massive for them.
Well, let's see how they approach that composure status, because it seems that Virtus.pro, they are pushing so aggressively outside, not respecting that defense at all. Bjarly gets a double sprayed onto Nothing and Shazam. Semphis was the player that got the first frag. He's still alive in Garage. He's been spotted out by 2 players, and he finally will get shut down there from Virtus.pro. Sean Gares gets dropped, and now it's all on Shroud. We've seen him pull off some really nice double kills with the assault rifles, but with a P250 and a grenade, I'm not too sure he can get this one.
That's going to be tough, and you know, it's back to the point where any damage you can do to Virtus.pro really, and just deny a weapon or 2, that would be absolutely amazing for them, but not going to happen. Fairly easy round for Virtus.pro, and you know, this is how the initial eco that Virtus.pro won. That's how, you know, it should have gone for Cloud9, but instead we're sitting here at 12-13 in favour of Cloud9.
Yeah, 12-13.
Yeah, and I really like what Cloud9 are doing. They just got playing a safe route. They know they're on CT side of Nuke, so they're going to go with the double eco. No need to, you know, throw away money and basically risk everything that we've built up to this point for, you know, a flimsy buy.
Yeah, and you did kind of call this as well. You know, they could afford to double eco, still be on a level playing field, and then get themselves a solid buy-up, not kind of mixed buy and be hoping for the best. And their defense has, by and large, been pretty solid. You know, the last couple rounds, not so much, but they can definitely pull this one back into their favour. I think right now, they're kind of potential to be their own worst enemy, I have to feel here, Cloud9. They don't want to push that self-destruct button just yet.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely right. And Cloud9 do have a pretty nice setup here on the low bomb site here, and it could actually cause quite a few troubles for, or problems for Virtus.pro.
Certainly could. With pistols, with the 5.7s and the CZs, you never quite know what to expect, but the first 2 frags go in the way of Virtus.pro and Bjarly in particular. Pasha gets himself a double, looking for that full house of frags, and Pasha will get the triple. And only losing Michu as well, so pretty nice round overall for Virtus.pro.
Yeah, pretty nice round for Virtus.pro, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Semphis hung around behind Silo for that long, really, because there were so many instances where you just could have popped down and pretty much picked up easy kills while firefights were going on from vents and from window halls and all that stuff. So, bit of a surprising move, and it's, you know, a sign of a bit of a weak coordination from Cloud9's side.
Pasha with the entry this time. Interestingly enough, hasn't picked up an AWP a single round of this entire map. It's been Michu that was running the AWP duty. Nothing and Taz both exchange frags. It is going to be in the advantage of Virtus.pro, who've brought it back to a 13-13. Now Neo comes in. Oh my goodness. Could this be the comeback from Virtus.pro? Could they claw it back on T side? It's looking like it's a very real possibility. Shroud's going to get shot in the back as soon as he drops out there from Neo. And now Sean Gares, who seems to have been in a lot of these clutch situations, isn't able to get a single frag. And Virtus.pro edge ahead for the first time in a very long time here.
Yeah, and now you're faced with a really awkward decision to make if you're Cloud9. Do you want to force up? But, you know, again, you can see what they're ending up, you know, as a result. They're ending up with Masters. They could have gone for the, you know, another risky move, which would have been doing one save round and basically banging on that. Every round from there on out, you're going to be able to do properly, but at least you're going to have, you know, the optimal equipment.
Oh, that grenade's going to sting. Didn't actually do as much damage as I was expecting on Dimitri. It looked like it actually fell at his feet there, but only 16 HP off him. Again though, Virtus.pro opting for the outside push. 4 players here, 2 have already gone down secret. Nothing seems to have sensed what's about to happen. closing the door, jumping up, and will be confirmed to him that there are 4 angry poles running right at his face. Through control room now, Michu alongside Neo look to be the 2 players that want to flash out, smoke out, and try and just force their way onto the B site. But nothing says no way. Jose gets himself one. Neo returns back straight away, riddles him with bullets to the forehead. Michu, however, is going to get one. Pasha chimes in, and again Virtus.pro just getting the spray downs in effect. Sean Gare steps up to the plate and does deliver with that frag. But still, the NAT finds themselves a player, now 2 players behind. Sean Gares in another clutch, and Neo gets himself the double at the end. 3 frags for him that round, and 2 map points for Virtus.pro.
Yeah, and a bit of a recurring problem for Cloud9 at this point is the fact that their rotations on the CT side are very slow. That time around they did have 2 people towards the low bomb site, but with the way Virtus.pro put heavy emphasis on the low bomb site, you'd imagine that rotations would come in a bit faster and they'd actually get into better positions. And as of right now, they're kind of destroying themselves, not to take anything away from VP, but Cloud9 could definitely do a better job.
I was a bit worried about this when the round started to go back in VP's favour, if Cloud9 would crumble. They still played very well for the vast majority of this map. And even if they were to lose this, 16-13 is a very respectable scoreline against VP on Nuke.
Yeah. And it's definitely a lot better than what they did in the first meeting.
Exactly, yeah. Definitely a massive improvement. Bomb's been planted from Michu. Byali, however, is going to go ahead and take down Shroud. And again, these exchanges always seem to favour Virtus.pro. When the going gets tough, they all seem to come out ahead. Shazam, last remaining player, with the 5-7, 1v3. As good as he's played this map, not able to clutch that one out. And it will be the 1-0 there to Virtus.pro, which at half-time